Hi everybody, debuting clean shaven Tony. I don't think I've done a video yet where I haven't had a beard of sorts, so drink it all in. I think I'm the only person that can shave and actually look older. That's how I feel. So real quick, first and foremost, I have a new job that I want to put out there. Senior Salesforce developer, perm position, downtown Minneapolis, working with an industry-leading, internationally recognized healthcare nonprofit. Excellent company, fantastic employer, great position. I don't really need to put in a whole lot of details because if you're a senior Salesforce developer, that you probably fit the bill. So not a whole lot needed beyond that. So, little bit of another rant that I want to do. Last time I did a rant, it got a lot of views and it seemed to be very useful to a lot of people. So I'm gonna do another rant. This one's a resume rant. This is all stemming from having seen an article recently that was posted by Career Builder that was kind of brought into my world by our recruiting manager out of our Des Moines office, Adam Veet. Hi Adam. He actually watches these videos and such and like gives me love on them and likes on Twitter and such. So we'll give him a shout out. If you see him, follow him on Twitter, hit him up on LinkedIn. He's a great dude. The article was about things not to put on your resume. And it covers 5 areas. I'll show you those 5 areas in a second. I'll talk briefly about those. And I'm going to add some of my own because I think they do a good job of it, but they don't cover everything that I think is really necessary. Now, the important piece to think about in this entire topic of conversation is what is the purpose of a resume? Your resume needs to be to take it in the door. The interview is the important piece. That's the main event. All you need to do with the resume is get to the point where you'll have the conversation. So in knowing what is necessary and what is not with a resume can be very important. Sometimes too much is bad. Sometimes the way that you convey certain information can hurt you. So we'll go through some things. Hopefully it'll be enlightening to some folks out there. I see a lot of bad resumes. I do. It's tough. It's not easy. I've spent 7 years, every single day, all I do is read resumes. So obviously I have an opinion about it and I've seen what works and what doesn't. That's why I feel like I can throw some of these things in there. So first and foremost, I brought a little visual aid. I haven't worked out all the details of the finer elements of the technical aspect of doing these videos yet, so I can't put up pretty graphics yet. I can just do this. And honestly, if I spent enough time to do all that kind of stuff, I would be not getting my job done, and I'm sure that my bosses would not appreciate that. So we'll just stick with this for the time being. So here's the list from the Career Builder article. All right, give you a second to drink that in. So first and foremost, objective statement: knock it off. Don't. No one cares. Sorry, no one cares. And I'm sure it feels bad if you spent a lot of time and effort and really crafting it and everything. Nobody's reading it. They're skipping past it to get to who is this person actually, what have they actually done. Anybody can write up a flowery objective statement. It really doesn't matter. Hobbies, once again, if you're on a broomball team, if you like to knit, if you rock climb, that's all great, wonderful. Does it have any impact on the job that you're going to be asked to do? No, don't put it then, because nobody cares. It doesn't matter, and it's just adding additional content to the pages that just kind of takes attention away. It just looks like you're trying too hard. I don't know. I've never seen any resume that I thought, oh, well, they're into collecting plates. Well, that changes things. No, doesn't make any difference. Irrelevant work experience. This one should be self-explanatory, but I do end up seeing quite a bit of it. If you flipped burgers in high school, you don't need to put that on the resume for the Oracle DBA position that you're applying for. And that was not directed at anyone in particular. So if you're watching this, you're like, did I do that? No, you didn't do that. I'm just saying, generally, don't do that. I once dressed up as Count Chocula, like this big Count Chocula costume, to wander around the halls of General Mills headquarters in like 2004. Do you think I put that on my resume? No, of course not. That's completely irrelevant. Don't bother. Takes up space, wastes people's time. And honestly, stemming from the irrelevant work experience thing too, if you got a long history of work experience, cut it off at 10 years. Unless there's something that happened more than 10 years ago that is particularly relevant, that is very applicable, that positions you very well. Anything past 10 years ago probably isn't relevant anymore. The technology has changed so much, the approach has changed so much, the new methodologies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Also, it's very unlikely that anyone's reading that deeply into your resume. So, too much education information, yeah, that's fine. Part of what the article gets to is if you started college in like 2000 and you graduated in 2007 and you're not a doctor, don't put 2000, just put 2007. And if you think that that's a personal example, it is. That's exactly what I did. I took a break in the middle. Some people need to go on a walkabout before they go back and get their degree, which they no longer use in the career that they've chosen for their life. English Lit, not too applicable to IT staffing. Other than that, though, a lot of times, like if I see somebody that like finished college in 1980, I mean, whatever you did in college in 1980 doesn't apply to today, and that has no bearing on a reflection of you as a candidate. You probably have good, marketable, usable skills that are current to the job that you're applying for, but think about what the landscape was. Even if you have like a tech degree, think about what that means for 1980. That doesn't matter. None of what you learned in 1980 tech-wise is really going to apply now, unless it's a very unique job. But you'll know when that time comes. And then lies. Lies just about you worked longer at a place than you did. That's stuff that's pretty easy to check. Or putting experience that you do not have. And especially with regards to IT jobs, you put information that you know something you don't, you will be found out, because the day will come when someone will ask you to prove it and you won't be able to, and you'll look like a jerk. So don't do it. There's a previous video that I did where I talk about how to SEO your resume. So if you want to look back through my list, which by the way, if you go, I have a YouTube page that you can subscribe to so that you get notified every time I post one of these lovely little updates. So one of them, SEO your resume, talks about that. Like, how do you take experience that might be lighter and properly include that on your resume and without lying, right? So if you want to watch that video, go watch it. I recommend it. So moving away from those and on to the ones that we came up with. So I talked to the people that I work with, kind of hit up some other folks that I trust and I know the market, and we said, what are some other things that would be included in that list that are not included? So here's a really easy one. Pictures, graphics, all kinds of flowery embellishments. All you've done is prove that you like know Photoshop or Adobe or are really, really good with Word. It doesn't make you any better for the job that you're applying for. Unless, if you are like a graphic design professional or something like that, where that's part of your job, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, it's distracting. It's purely distracting. And it gives people a sense that you're giving steroids to your experience, basically. Like they're gonna actively try to dig deeper to find out what you're really about, if that's the case. So in some respects, you're like begging them to dock you points. And the pictures on a resume, luckily I don't come across that very often, but this ain't Facebook. This is not a dating service. You are not auditioning for a movie. We don't need a headshot, okay? Put that professional picture on your LinkedIn. That's great. Do that. It's appropriate there. Putting your resume just is kind of weird, honestly. So if you do that, sorry. I every time I see it, I'm like, shouldn't do that. And I always take it off. If I'm putting you into a job, I will take the picture off. Superlatives is a big one for me. If I see in your resume that you're talking about your experience and saying that you outperformed people or you finished at the top of your whatever, or talking about how great you are, that's fine. Your resume is where you brag about your accomplishments, but unless it's something that you can specifically attribute to a particular metrics, leave it out. Because if you're saying that you're so great and better in this and that, compared to what? If you were working on a terrible team where everyone was a dummy and you were the best, you still might not be that good. So now you've invited scrutiny, basically. So it's not something that can be characterized easily. You need an objective standard to put things against. So just because in one environment you're great does not necessarily mean that you'll be that way in another. If you accomplish something in particular, like you received an award, put that in. Or if you can say, I was able to save the company this much money, or I was able to do this year-over-year growth, or whatever, include those things, but don't just use generalities to say I'm awesome, because people would be like, who says? So don't use the third person thing. Why are you having someone else write your resume for you outside of obviously taking input from folks like myself, getting some assistance, but your resume don't do the whole she was responsible for da 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 da. It's weird. I don't know. It doesn't ring true the way you think that it does. Make sure to use I statements and not we statements. That applies to interviews as well. Talk about what you did. Don't talk about what your team did unless it's in the context of what I did within what the team did, right? We don't need to know what the team did. We need to know what you did, because you might not have had anything to do with the success the team had, right? So it's got to be you. What have you done? And that actually goes to the way that you kind of align things. Don't do the whole, here's a summary of the jobs that I've worked on the first page of the resume. Here's like the dates and the titles, and then give a bunch of general experience blocks. List out, this is the last job that I did from this date to this date. Here's the title I had. Here's what I did, bullet points. Be specific. Give content, give detail about what you did, not how great you were, what you actually did in the performance of your job. Then move on to what was the job before that, dates, title, info. Break it down like that, because people want to see what have you done in each position so they can actually contextualize what type of experience you have in certain areas, how relevant it is, how much experience you've had doing it, what has been your involvement in those various aspects. Make it easy for people. Take away the guesswork. The whole one-page thing, everyone's like, oh, try to keep your resume to a page. No. If you have any amount of professional experience, it needs to at least be 2. If it gets to be 5 and 6, that could be fine. I have no problem with that. I'm sure that there are hiring managers out there that would argue against me on that one. I have seen 5 and 6 page resumes that it needed to be 5 and 6 pages. I would say if your resume is like 3 pages, probably good if you're a seasoned professional. Trying to squeeze everything to get it into a page, maybe 2, you might be losing really good content. So don't worry so much about that, especially in tech jobs, right? Just make sure that the content is good. And then wrapping all of this together is the way that you lay it out. Remember, if you study what heat maps look like for resumes, so you give a hiring manager a stack of 100 resumes and heat map what they're actually looking at, it's the top third of the first page. That's what they cover. If they don't see what they want there, they're not reading the rest, okay? So it doesn't matter if on page 3 you've got some fantastic stuff. If it's not like absolute rock solid on page 1 at the top, they're not going any further. So put a summarization of your overall skills and abilities, whatever your profile is, if you're PM, BA, developer, systems admin, da-da-da-da-da. Put the tools there, put the summarization of your experience there, the areas that you cover. Then jump right into the last job that you worked and exactly what you were doing. Do it immediately. So summary of skills, first job. Education, put it on the last page. Awards, recognitions, certifications, put it at the end. Get right to, this is who I am, this is what I do. Because if that doesn't fit whatever the hiring manager is looking for, they will never get to page 3 or 4 where it tells you that you actually are a fit for the job that they want. Make it easy for them. Make it easy for yourself. Make this your calling card that is going to get people to get you on the phone, to bring you in and sit you down, right? So, if you have any questions about that, or if I said something you think is wildly wrong, let me know, hit me up. Love to hear about it. This one's kind of long, but I think it's good stuff. Share it with your friends. Go subscribe. Go follow me on Twitter. Would love it. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.